Gadget UK here again, back for part 2 of the 12 GD-ROM drive repairs. In the previous part we tore 2 of the drives to pieces. We didn't actually test them, so I'm going to start by tearing this down and testing those 2 drives. Right, so just testing my Dreamcast. It's working okay. It's on Code Veronica disc 2 at the moment. I got up to the 2nd disc. I may actually continue playing this over the next few weeks / months. I want to try and beat it. Not sure how much further there is, how much more of the game there is on disc 2. Because it took me a fair amount of time to get to disc 2. Anyway, let me power that off. Electronash pointed out something interesting on my Discord. Something I wasn't aware of. I was aware of the revision differences. There's a VA0 which shipped initially, mostly in the US, the NTSC model. And then VA1, which is the most common model out there, which I think this is. And then there was a VA2. And the VA2, the early VA2s had some issue where they couldn't read certain types of media, I think. But there's a voltage difference. The VA0s had a 5 volt drive, the VA1's 3.3 volt drive. Now, I think we saw 3.3 volt marks on the first 2 drives we looked at in the previous part here. Can we tell from the underside there what model it is? It's got a model number there, HKT3030. I'm not sure if you can tell which subversion it is, I don't know. Anyway, let's take out the module here. I need to get the 4 screws out. Now, it's a bit more complicated getting mine to pieces because I've got a VGA thing here. I forget what that is, audio out, I think. I don't know why I did that. The VGA made sense, and then a switch to switch between the standard sort of video out and VGA. Anyway, let's just get these 4 screws out. I think it should be fairly easy though to disconnect the drive. Yeah, so I'm a bit nervous taking this to pieces because you know what, it served me really well, this Dreamcast, and well, you've seen it works. The drive works as well. It works. It's almost good as new, this drive. I'm sure it is. I suspect it's had hardly any use. So let's just carefully try and lift this up. As I say, we've got those things at the back, but well, I'm not going to just work around those. So you can see the detachable battery mod added there in the past. It's been recapped this as well, from what I remember. I'm sure, maybe I didn't replace these caps, I don't know. It's that long since I went inside this. So the GD-ROM module, I think it's just held down with 1 or 2 screws, isn't it? Yeah, there is a screw down there. Have I got to take the power supply out? Oh, it's going to be annoying. We've got this little thing down here. Forget what that is now. I can't remember what's inside there. Little PCB for the VGA, I think. Because I think it's buffered in some way. Or the sink is. I honestly don't know. Mine's marked 3.3 volt there on the metalwork. But I do think there are a couple more screws. I think there's one here and one down there. And I actually think the power supply board is going to have to come out. This is the one where the power supply was cracked. It's actually one of the standoff points is broken because you can see the washer, which I glued or epoxied down onto the PCB to strengthen the crack. It was just this one here at the back. Now, if memory serves, that should just slide up, there we go, over the connections and then come out. There we go. Bear in mind, caps like that can have mains voltage in them. We've got a little plastic divider there. Here we go. 2 screws. 1 and 2. Just try and carefully lift this. There we go. Up like that. There's my GD-ROM drive. So I'll put that out of the way. Right, here are the 2 drives from the first part. Yeah, it's marked 3.3 volts there. It's nice that Sega had the insight to do that. I may have asked in the first video, I pointed out, like, why on earth would they do that? Why is it marked? Well, there we go. It's pretty obvious why it's marked. It's marked because there are differences. So this one's the one that is missing the PCB because I haven't fully reassembled that one. So let's put that one out of the way. One of them had a Yamaha chip, didn't it? And the other one didn't. The other one seemed to have 2 Sega marked chips. This looks very similar to my unit. It's got, everything looks the same here. And again, it's marked 3.3 volts, made in China. They were manufactured in a number of different places, these systems and the units and things. They didn't all come from exactly the same places, which is often a thing, because you get, you know, manufacturing done different places in the world for different regions. Sometimes it's more cost effective, and sometimes you can't get everything done in one place, you know, the volumes of things. So let's just say, is this going to connect onto this first of all? Because that's the first challenge, like, is the connector lined up? Is there some sort of regional or connector difference here? I'm looking at that there, and you know what, I do sort of see a slight difference here. There's like a little notch on the right there. Maybe this is from a different revision. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I just didn't have it aligned. I'm assuming I've got it aligned properly inside the thing, the cage. God, this little mod here is complicating things. It really doesn't feel like that wants to go on, you know. There must be a difference there. So the obvious thing I'm thinking maybe there's a bit of a difference in alignment here, like it's not aligned over as far as it should be. So for that reason, I'm just undoing these screws in the metal can a little bit, just to see how much freedom we've got here on this. You know, like, will the board move internally? I don't know. Anyway, they're slightly loose. Let's just see if that fits any better. Up. Yeah, that's gone on. Well, that was quite tight. It does show you though there's some tolerance in the you know, the metal fitting there. The, you know, not really the metal, but the alignment of that slot as the PCB is secured in place. You just get it just a tiny bit out, and it can be really tight. Right, now got to connect the power again, haven't we? Oh joy, it's going to be fun to keep taking this in and out. Of course, could work on it sort of more exposed than this, but I don't really want to interfere too much with my video mod. So anyway, let's just try and get the back in first. Yeah, everything is a bit tight here, isn't it? That's it. I am going to get one of these screws in for the power supply here, I think. It's going to be fun doing this. Get the power. Switch it on. Thought I saw the laser move there. Hang on. Switch it off. Let's get a disc in. I could hear it. You can hear it spinning up. Yeah, it's not seeing a disc, but it is spinning. What I am going to do here is leave this for a period of time, maybe 5 minutes or so, to warm the caps on the drive board up and give the optical unit time to warm up, and then we'll try power it off and on to see if there's any different, because that may just help us understand, is it about optics or is it actually about capacitors or something else on the board. But all we're getting on the screen is please insert game disc. I'll try and power cycle it again. It's interesting, he does start to spin up. Oh, hang on, it's booting now. No, it's not. I thought we got something there, didn't we? Didn't we get the... Hang on, what's going on here? Yeah, we seem to be able to start to load something, and then it gives up. That's interesting, isn't it? What an interesting behaviour. It's like it can identify as an original disc, but then it's like, nah, I can't do much more. and it just throws you back. Because I'm sure you can't get that unless it passes the protection thing. We'll just give it some more time because, well, we've made some progress. It's just be making a bit of progress. So maybe it is about capacitors. I've forgotten how noisy this thing was. It's that fan there. They're so cool, aren't they? What a lovely, sleek, sort of sexy, cute design. It's like Sega nailed it with this. Yeah, so I think what I'm going to do is just inspect here with the microscope, try and adjust the part, but before I do that I'm going to make a note of what its resistance is at the moment. Just because, well, my theory is that there is an optical issue with this. You know, I mean, there's all sorts of things could be at play here, like could it be, you know, a bad connection on something like this, one of these caps. Very unlikely. You've got 3 connections down here for the pickup, I think. Doesn't move that, does it? You've got to look for, you know, flex things, parts that move. It could just be the focus and tracking coils. They could have gone. I'm going to have a bad connection on one of them because they bob up and down at such a high frequency. But hang on, I'm going to put my hand on that power supply there. I'm just going to clean the SD protection point there, just in case some flux there's causing some kind of issue. You know, I'm thinking about flux from manufacture. That doesn't look so clever, does it? I don't know, maybe I'm seeing things here, like... Yeah, I think I'm seeing things. You can see some flux between those things there, though. I'm tempted if we, hang on, I was going to say just toothbrush that bit, but you can see the flux coming away doing that. So I think what I'll do is just, you know, get a bit of IPA on there like that, and then just try and use the toothbrush into those gaps. There's still a bit of flux just there. Still see it. It's on that between the first and second pin, isn't it? Just a bit of flux there. And of course, I'm not sure whether getting IPA on here is a bad thing or what. You know, I don't really know what the consequences of... I mean, that looked a bit dirty, didn't it? That O2, there was like something on it. I don't really know what that is. And yeah, let's have a go on this side as well. And of course, when you do this, you can inspect the actual solder points, like is anything moving here, or it shouldn't do. Anyway, that's looking clean. I can't imagine that's going to have anything to do with anything, because, well, it's just some little semiconductor, maybe with that, actually, it might be the laser diode itself, soldered onto this. Having got IPA around there, yeah, it could have made things worse. It could have dissolved some flux that could have gone into the optical part of this, you know, the actual onto the lens, onto the diode. The grease is a bit thick. If I just move the camera over here, you know, this is something else you should check, is the state of the gears, but I did this briefly before and everything kind of looks alright, the grease is a bit thick. Is it a case of the grease has got so thick that it's restricting movement? I don't know, I'm just touching around some of the stuff you can't see on the rail on the right, and, well, it feels pretty loose and free. So I can't imagine that's the issue. If I move back towards the laser, yeah, you can see the pot there. I think I'll try and measure that now, and then I can just write down the values. But obviously I'm going to have to sort of, I don't know, try and tilt the thing sort of upwards like that. Yeah. Try and get focus. Yeah, and try and measure it. There is a cap or something there. I can check that's alright, but you know, there's no reason that would be an issue. Anyway, I'll report back in a minute. I am just going to, you know, put the probes on like this here, yeah, and measure it. Yeah, so it's 933 ohms. I adjusted it clockwise as the pot was at the back of the thing. Just the same. In other words, it's coming up with the copyright message, as if it's read the copyright part off the disc, and then nothing else. I'll measure it again. I'll try going anti-clockwise. Yeah, so I gave the laser a marginal tweak back, almost where it was originally, with a tiny increase. So instead of 933 ohms, it's like 1000 ohms or something, and not getting anywhere. But then I thought, well, let's play an audio track, and it plays audio tracks, so I'm going to put a full audio CD in here and just have a listen around this. I think the laser is sort of on the edge of being a bit worn, but I actually think that, hang on, why is that not reading? Yeah, it's not sitting low enough, is it? Yeah, I think the drive works, actually. Maybe not. No, it is, it's working. This is Erotica from Madonna. I always used this disc to test. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. It's the disc I used back in the day. I always took this into the office because I had a CD-man. And I listened to it a fair bit, so of course anything that was CD based in the office that I was working on, this disc got used. But I'm going up the disc here, and every track is working. There's only one laser on these drives. It's not like there's a CD one and a GD-ROM one, it's the same one. So the laser is alright. Yeah, I think we're left with regional differences. And I'll show you what I mean. If I take this disc out and I put Resident Evil in again, I did just scratch my Resident Evil disc, which was not what I intended to do. Let's close that. Now you can argue the difference between a GD-ROM and a CD-ROM is there's more data on the discs, the tracks, you know, are close together, etc. I would assume they are, which probably means you need better focus and tracking.
This is a Dreamcast disc,
but listen,
and is for use only on a Dreamcast unit. This is a
there are 3 tracks on this, I think. Hang on. No, they're not.
This is a Dreamcast disc, and is for use
now, I'm guessing that's not coming from the BIOS, that is actually coming from the drive, from the disc.
Other audio equipment can cause serious damage to its speakers.
So, it would seem that from an audio perspective it works. I mean, it could be a data thing. Maybe there's something on that drive, chip or otherwise, that is having some issue. So we always get this is the thing, and then it just throws us here. That makes me think it's a regional thing. Makes me think there's nothing wrong with that drive, and I forget, is this the one that had the button in it? It could be. So maybe there is nothing wrong with this drive, and it just needs a Japanese Dreamcast. Yeah, so that's potentially an unforeseen issue here. That if these units are from a Japanese Dreamcast, well, I haven't got a Japanese Dreamcast. I need to go and Google that now to see, is there a relationship between the region of the drive and the system? You'd think there wouldn't be, but I don't know, I'm clutching at straws really in some ways, that maybe there is a problem with the drive and it's just doesn't like Dreamcast discs. Oh, let's take that disc out. This is the thing, it's only a matter of time before I completely destroy my Code Veronica disc. I'd suggest if you're testing like I am here, test with, hang on, let's get rid of that before I electrocute myself. Test with a, and switch it on and off as well. Yeah, test with a disc you don't really care about. Right, so I reassembled the other unit we looked at, was the second drive actually, and that's working. It just works. There's no issues, not changed anything. All we did is clean it up and reassemble it, and it seems to be working. So maybe this one was just a clean-up. Obviously I need to test, you know, a lot more, but that seems to be working, doesn't it? Let's just try and load again. Yep, I'd say that's working. One thing I would say about these Dreamcast drives, God, they're a nightmare to disconnect the flat flex and reconnect it. Disconnecting it's easy, reconnecting it is impossible. It took me 10 minutes to get this one reassembled again. I suspect some of these drives, someone's just like literally just pulled it out, hang on, and swapped it with a modern drive emulator and sold the machine on as an upgraded modified system. Because the fact this guy's got so many of these, well, it says it all. That was behind you, wasn't it? Where is it? Yeah, here it is. Come on then, try it. It's stuck on the shelf, I think. Oh, how did I miss that? No, I didn't. So dark and foggy in this part of the game. Right, so I'm going to label that one up as working, actually. Not sure if we fixed it, if it was never broken. I don't know. When I say broken, I mean faulty. Oh, and let's set that disc out. I haven't learned my mistake yet, have I, from almost scratching my Code Veronica disc. Let's put that there. Yeah, you can pull this out without lifting the power supply out. It's just a wee bit fiddly. You unhook it there, and then you've got to sort of, because I've got this stupid wire here for the VGA, got to sort of route it like that. That's it. Yeah, it's nice and warm, that. So I forget what we actually did to this drive. I'll stick an annotation up top left. This is the one that I left disassembled at the end of that first short video there. But nevertheless, oh, it's only one. This is the one that had the button in, isn't it? I think the first one we looked at had a button in. That explains it entirely. Yeah, so the gears are alright. Inspected the gears on this. It was just that button, I think, a plastic button inserted by a child. So I can just carefully just route these wires here where they need to go, like underneath this clip. Hang on if I can. The hardest bit with this one was getting the ribbon back onto the head. Well, is it really a head? You know what I mean, the laser assembly. Yeah, before, as part of the reassembly, I should have done this. You just lift this up and then the wires go under it like that. There we go. So, that one is okay. I'm going to actually stick a proper label on it, print one off. I'm pleased though, because I now have a spare optical unit for my Dreamcast. Anyway, it's marked as okay. I'm going to stick it into this ESD bag. So yeah, anyway, that's one down. We'll test it more, but I'm convinced that drive is okay, and it was all about the button. Yeah, so looking at the next one here, this is very dusty, isn't it? Very dirty. This one, assuming the caps are alright, it's going to be about dust and dirt. I mean, just look at this. It's covered in it. You can see all the dust come off that there. I'm going to just give this a try, I think. It's marked 3.3 volts again. The thing you've got to be careful of here, and I read some horror stories about this, that people have been swapping the boards and things around and putting the 5 volt board on the 3.3 one. You know, so I could end up killing my Dreamcast here. Yeah, there's a lot of dust and fluff on this. It's incredibly dirty. On the actual main board itself underneath, it's covered in dust and dirt. Yeah, let's just give it a go. Let's throw caution to the wind. I'm just going to power it on to start with that way. I like to see, well, does it explode before I stick my disc in? Does the drive even sound normal when you... Hang on, switch it on. Someone's really going for it out there with an engine. Right, put that in. Switch it on. Yeah, it's not spinning up, is it? Or if it is, it's very silent. it's not doing anything. So that's interesting. Right, let's get some IPA. I'm not sure you could see that, I was probably filming the wrong place. Didn't seem to do anything with the disc at all. I think I heard it spin, and then that was it. It didn't do anything beyond that, and as I ejected it, the disc was not spinning. So let's give it another try. So you heard it go, look, it's spinning. But it's not seeing the disc, and look, it's gave up. So yeah, let's give it another clean here. Yeah, so this one would appear to have some sort of fault, like bad laser maybe. Let's just try moving the mech. Let's try opening this. Let's just switch it off a sec and just move that up that way. I want to see, does it move downwards? It's looking very dirty under there. Yeah, you heard it go brrr, but it ain't seen the disc at all. So I think this one we tear down and have a look at it, because it did look very dirty, didn't it? You can smell it as well, and I don't mean like an electrical smell, I mean like a crusty, dirty smell. Yeah, I can smell it. It's got, let's say, an odour from something that is burned and consumed that isn't legal. Let's say that. That's what I think's on it. And it makes me think that maybe it's got some contamination somewhere internally in the optical path, actually, on this one. It does look very dirty though, so let's just do the same thing we did with the other two. So carefully try and get the screws out. What's annoying with these, when you turn them upside down, is this bit here falls out. It's just like a really annoying thing to work on. This, you know, a bit of chicken and egg with the ribbon there. I still don't get how the hell they're assembled at the factory. All I can think is they've got like an army of children that have nothing, no job other than to connect flat flexes. I don't know. They're probably machine done, to be honest, but it's either the children or pixies. They've got like some hybrid mutant pixies or something. They've got hands the size of, smaller than children, in order that they can connect the flex ribbons up. Right, that's that coming up, that's good. Lost a screw already. I need to get the wrist strap back on. So what I need to do now is, what I would advise when you want to disconnect these is carefully try and move that, and it's really difficult because you want a plastic here, I don't want to damage the thing, that's it. Move the carriage up, just trying to push the plastic, being careful not to actually damage the drive, and then as you lift this, yeah, you'll see you can sort of lift it up and over. Hang on. Like that. Disconnect the two JSTs. That's it. And then disconnect your flat flex. It might be easier doing this here, actually, leaving it on the drive. Now I think about it. Yeah, I bet that's easier to reconnect there rather than trying to connect it at the drive end. I'll have a look at the drive in a minute. Just have a quick look at this PCB. I'm not sure if I see any issues immediately there. There's loads of dust and fluff all around here, and around that little device there, which I assume is a regulator. Yeah, so besides all the dust and fluff on that, the first side looks alright. Let's look at this side. Yeah, the caps look okay. Yeah, so maybe this one does just have bad laser. Let's just have a look at this. Let's try and free up. But we don't need to, but look at all the dust and fluff in there. Every one of these has got a different looking laser. They all look different, which is interesting. So there must have been a few different manufacturers for these. Flex ribbon looks okay. You just need to inspect these gears here to make sure we've not got any teeth missing. So, you know, that does involve sort of, you know, gradually rotating it around and inspecting the gears. You can usually feel if there's a tooth. And it feels a bit sticky there. It's got tooth damage, this. There, sticking. So we've got a split gear on this one. At least we know one of the issues with this. It might not be the only problem. Let me bring the microscope down. Let's just clean with some IPA there. This one might be a nice, quick, easy fix. I mean, alright, that's wishful thinking, but I don't know. It could be really this simple. Let's just try. Clean around there, see what we can see. Maybe there is some damage to the tooth, because that doesn't look as clever. Oh, there, what's that? Maybe it is mangled. Oh, I don't know, stuff's coming out, look, it's sort of looking normal again. I think it's just dirt. That looks mangled as well. But it's not. Do you see that? It's like it can look awful, and then you start to clean it up, and then suddenly, well, it doesn't look awful anymore. It's dirt, isn't it? This is just a really dirty mech. And of course the best way to do it is to take these off and strip it down, but I'm just going for the quick bodgy test here, and then I can clean it up further later. That's feeling free now. If I rotate that around now. Oh, hang on, a bit of resistance there. And I think it's that dirt look. But maybe one of these gears is damaged, you know, because we're not really, if I just move this up a bit, we're not really inspecting this one. Like, is it this one? It could be a split. Is that a split? I think that's a split. That answers it. It's not just dirt. It's that there, look. There we go. That's the issue, I think. I think that's a split. Yeah, look. Can you see I can press it? And that there separates a little bit. So, that's the issue with that. I've got a few ideas on fixing that, I think. If I can get the motor out. Is it screwed in? It's held in with a little screw here, I think, that motor. I don't see any others. So if we can get the motor out, we can simply slide this off, melt this back together, super glue with baking soda maybe, clean it up, and then try and push it back on. As long as you get that gap, you know, pressed together firmly before we join it back together, melting it there with the iron is the best technique actually. But you want to do it when it's off. It needs to be quite tight, so that when you push it on it's really, really snug as it slides down, otherwise it won't have the torque. I know it's out of focus, I'm just trying to look down at it rather than use the microscope here. Oh my god, that's tight. Right, hang on, there we go, it's coming out. Hey, it's just that one screw, look. And then hopefully the motor may just sort of, yeah, come out like that. Woohoo! And then I can hopefully pull this off. It's just gonna, is it gonna come off? Yeah, it's just gonna come off because it's got a split. Pull that down, and under magnification I'm gonna press this together and melt that bottom part. I may just get some super glue in it first, I don't know, just have a look around it. I'll show you on the microscope, there's actually two places. I'm not even going to super glue this. Super glue is just going to hinder things, I think. Now, you could probably get a replacement gear. Now, I got some from Dennis actually for the PC Engine. You can see the split here. And the point being is those may fit this, or Dennis may be able to just produce something like this for the Dreamcast here. So it's split there, it goes all the way down here and all the way down here. But the point is, if you were to press this together really firmly like that, and then heat with the iron here and do the same thing up here, there, and that's what I'm going to try and do. But what we do need is enough grippage there like that, so that as I squeeze, there we go, the crack closes. And I'm going to very, very, very carefully just heat the top here. Hang on. Can't see how far I am off. It's difficult with the... That's it. Right. I can clean that up in a minute. Squeeze together like that. And then come in and melt there. Can let go. Oh. Can't even see the crack now. Where is it? Well, we know it's here roughly, so there we go. Like that. Yeah, so the final thing here now is just to see if we need to smooth any of this off. You know, like this part of the top here is going to be an issue. What we can do is just try and just make sure these channels here are free. See, we've got a little bit on the edge there. Those little burrs are going to cause us a problem. Yeah, I'm not going to actually switch the grinding pen on to do this. I just want to just push like that. See, we've got a bit there. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. Let me just get my knife. Yeah, I think we just need to give it a try now. I need to just see if that'll go back on and whether it works. Yeah, that's going to be alright. So let's get that screw back in. So it's in just about the right place there. If we now try and rotate this, it's not catching. It's sticking maybe a little bit there. I don't know, it's hard to tell. You see, it's different when the motor's driving the thing versus this driving that. Anyway, I think that's going to be alright, so I'm going to clean this, because, well, that's just absolutely decrepit in there. And there is, of course, a chance the laser is balked on this no matter what. The gear could have been the last thing to go after someone spent some time trying to get this working, I don't know. And this is the other thing with these, we don't know whether anyone's tinkered with the laser level on any of these, you know, and finished it off or knocked it out of calibration completely. So I mean, this one could be one that needs some adjustment, but I think that no one's been in this because, you know, the screw holes have not been pierced, have they, on that black rubbery sort of stuff. So you know what, I'm calling it that no one's been in this. And the fact the PCB's really dirty as well. I think if someone had been in this, let's be honest, they wouldn't have left all that fluff in there, would they? Yeah, wrist strap is on, but this is not an ESD safe surface for sure. And this side was spotless. I know it wasn't. I was going to say it's spotless, it's not. We've got some fluff and dust around here, all around here. Could consider drying with hot air. Wow, this is really dirty. Can you see all this here? Filthy. Right, let's try and get this back together now. So if I just correct that, hang on, like that. Got to be careful to try and not touch the laser. And let's get try and get the flat flex on. Oh, hang on, it's on the wrong side of that thing there, isn't it? Yeah, this wants to come on the inside of this clear thing, like that, but then up this way, like that. Yeah, so you want the carriage right down this way, like that. That maximises the length of the flex ribbon. And I would suggest, I think this is probably the easiest one to connect up this way. I tried connecting it up to the actual laser before, rather than this, but doing it this way, maybe. It's really difficult because you can't get any leverage on it. Do you know what I mean? It's like you want to try and hold it and push flat. Well, good luck trying to do that. Yeah, it is now, but like one side's in, one side isn't. And then this is the thing, good luck trying to grab the other side without tearing the ribbon. Oh god. See that pushed in unevenly again? That's it, that's it. That was really fiddly. And then of course now some manoeuvring is required. try and reconnect these two JSTs. This is where they must have used pixies at the factory to assemble things. It's like, don't have enough hands. My hands aren't small enough. It's like, what? What were you thinking, Sega? Who did that? Who assembled it? I can't even imagine a machine doing that, to be honest. It's like, no. Why did you not do something different with it? I'll report back in about an hour when I've worked out how to do it. And you know the obvious thing here, and it's took me an hour to realise this, you don't necessarily need to have the lid on. You've got the switch back here, so you could just, you know, test it like this. And press the switch. You can see it's just giving up really quick. So this one's got two issues. The laser is an issue. Could be capacitors, we didn't check the capacitors. So I will recheck that. My guess is, because of how dirty this is though, that I think that it might be beneficial for me to take the optical unit off and soak it into my PA. Because I think something's got inside it. It's like I say, it's got that smell. And looking at the lens, yeah, it doesn't look that clean. I mean, sometimes just literally dripping a load of IPA on something like that and retesting it can do something, because the IPA runs in, runs through, affects the focusing as well. Because you could create a fault there by having a short. It's just giving up really quick. See, if it were capacitors, this is the other thing. You can heat it up and then retest it. So I'm kind of tempted to do that next. So what I mean is, take the disc out without electrocuting myself. Just leave this powered up for 20 minutes, come back and test it with the disc. If it works, we know it's capacitors. Just filming this on the phone because my camcorder's filled up. What was I going to show you? Oh yeah, this cap here, you can see there's two pads here to ground the cam, and it's detached. It moves around. So I'm just going to heat one of these to join it back up. Take the laser unit out and soak it in some IPA. I've just got this theory, because of the smell of it, that contaminant, beginning with C, as a clue, has got into this. I figure there's going to be two, isn't there? There's going to be a screw here as well. So yeah, this is my first time taking one of these to pieces. Doing it on your knees, yeah, it's not the best thing. I'm just limited with desk space here, bench space at the moment, so let's try and get that screw out. Oh my god, that's really flipping tight. Like incredibly tight. Yeah, it's coming out. That's it, I'm doing that one. It was thread locked on, that's what's made that quite difficult. So then I'm hoping now we're able to carefully lift this out. And how does this go on here? I'm going to unwind it that way and we'll wind it back on. Same way, I should have the wrist strap on here because I'm touching the SD sensitive parts. Just because, well, we see the red. Hang on, is that coming out? Yeah. We see the red laser, so I'm thinking, you know what, the laser isn't like at the end of its life, it looks really strong and vibrant. Let's disconnect that flat flex from there, that's it. Yeah, I'm going to go soak this in some IPA. maybe in that. And it's going to need quite a bit of IPA to submerge it, isn't it? Because you see what you get here, there's two components to this, yeah? Don't be under the delusion it's just a laser. It's not. You need a pickup, you need something, and it's usually this part here, but there's an optical path inside, sometimes with a couple of mirrors, yeah? In this case here, this looks like this is directly underneath this, so there may be no mirrors, but there may be another lens or something inside there, or something like that. It could have dust, it could have fluff blocking the way, so it just can't see a disc. I've seen this before on PlayStation lasers, PS3 lasers as well. Sorry, PS2 lasers, not 3. I've not seen it on PS3. In any case, we've got nothing to lose. Let's give that a try. Yeah, so it might be a bit of a waste of IPA here, because I'm going to have to go pretty deep with this, like that, and then turn it maybe upside down. Now, I know what you're thinking, just getting the ultrasonic cleaner. The coils in there are so fragile, I don't think the ultrasonic cleaner would be the best idea. So I'm going to leave that soaking for a bit like that. I'll flip it around, soak it again for another 5-10 minutes, and I'll report back. Bit of a soak, not very long. I didn't leave it quite as long as I said I was going to do. An IPA might not be the best thing for every laser assembly. Yeah, you may find some lasers where there are glues and things used in there and the IPA may dissolve it, so yeah, don't always do as I do, but you know, just take this as a bit of educational entertainment really. I mean, I would say the lens looks better. It looked like there was a hair in there or something before. I don't see that now. Do you see what I mean? There was like, when I looked at the light here, there was like a line sort of in the middle, like at a funny angle, like something was inside it. Maybe there was a hair, maybe we dislodged it, I don't know. Anyway, let's give that a go. And what I was talking about, the optical path here, you can see these three things here, yeah? This I think is the actual laser diode, and it's sideways. This is the point you get a path inside, an optical path that doesn't sort of, you know, it's not the way you think. Yeah, so in other words, there probably is a mirror or something inside there to reflect the beam upwards. And then this is what is directly below that picks it up. Woohoo! It works! It works. I just tested it with Code Veronica, but I've swapped over to Sternwind now. I've been playing this a fair bit recently. So, yeah, join me in the next part. I think I'm going to wrap this part up here because, well, we've still got another 10 drives to look at yet. And I think at the start of the next part, I'll have had a quick look at each one of the drives and worked out what's wrong, because you don't want to see a video like this one for every single one of the drives in pairs. It's just gone forever, this series. I'm very pleased though, because that's like 2 out of 12 fixed so far. Granted, we didn't have to do very much, if anything, to the first one, apart from remove said button. This game is so cool. It's like R-Type on steroids, this game. I love it. Let's just do arcade mode. I've got it on hard difficulty as well. Been working through all the levels and I pretty much mastered this game. But I mean, I've not got all the achievements on it, you know, you've got trophies to unlock, it's quite cool. Hey! Audio track is playing fine. Got 3 power-ups on each of the 3 weapons. You've got red, that's the red one, a directional laser, you've got green, and then you've got blue. And each one of them can be powered up twice, so I've powered up blue, once there, it's got a second beam in it. If I charge blue up again with another power-up, should get like a double beam in the middle. Go. That one's supercharged now, so it's maximum firepower on that weapon. So I'll do the same with red. So you've got a middle shot, and then I should get double middle shot. Just one more to do on green. There we go. All power. Oh, took a hit. When you take a hit, you lose the weapon you're using, so I've lost red. So yeah, absolutely annihilated that. Can you tell I've been practicing? This drive is working perfectly. I'm very pleased. The one thing I did do, it was noisy before, and I put a little bit of Molykote on the gear, all of the gears there. But I also took the grinding pen back to the very, very edge of the teeth because there was a tiny little bit of plastic overhanging, and I think in part really that was the thing that was making the noise. But it's pretty silent. It sounds just like my other, my Dreamcast drive now. Oh, free life. Yeah, you keep your levels between keep your weapons between levels, so I was trying to say. You can also fire behind you using the left trigger, change the direction you're facing. Goodness, get a bit tight up there. Oh, lost the weapon. Hold down fire, it keeps the angle like that, and if you let go, it releases back. So you've got to sort of tap various frequencies depending on what angle you're trying to aim for. You could go like almost up and down like that. We need to do that in a minute on the bots at the end of this round. Apologies if you don't like watching me play games, but I'll be honest, this is one of the things that really makes it for me when I've fixed something like this and then I get to see it functioning. I mean, it's flawless, isn't it? No sound issues or anything. It's nice to think that that laser's going to live on that drive and probably fix someone's Dreamcast, because I won't be keeping all of these. There's no way I want to keep 12 drives. I'm saying 12 drives, I don't know how many drives I'm going to be able to save yet, but yeah, post your thoughts down below. How many do you think we're going to be able to save out of 12? You can see I'm having to use the angle quite a bit on that weapon now, as I get things coming from above. Oh my god, I lost the weapon. It's going to be quite difficult without the red one. sure I can take this one out without the red weapon. And cheat using the special weapon. Oh. Wow, managed to do it. Lost all my other weapons. Anyway, you get the idea. That drive is perfect. So I do hope you found that video interesting. You've got 2 drives out of 12 working. Come back in the next part and you'll see a bunch of different issues, a bunch of different fixes, different problems. It's amazing how many different things I learned doing this series here on the Dreamcast. If you'd like to support the channel, please see the Ko-fi and Patreon links down below. I'll catch you in the next video.